For this project I'm using 3mm round wire, half hard, and I want just 2mm of the end to be bent 90 degrees, and it's almost impossible to do that by grabbing the 2mm on the end. So what you do is you go a little bit farther so that you have a good purchase. You bend your 90 degrees and then you saw that off to the height you want. So I have my little bend. I'm going to file that flat, and I'm going to solder a cup and a pearl peg on the end right there. So I'm just going to take a round burr. This is a 2.5 round burr. And as soon as I find the foot control, I'm just going to burr a little depression right in the middle. So hold your burr sideways, spin it up, and it'll give us a depression for our drill. I want to drill just about 1mm deep with a 1mm drill bit. And if you don't have that depression, the drill will just spin off to the side. So now I'm going to just hold this on my bench peg, straight up and down. And that's so I have a little depression so that my pearl peg will be soldered adequately. Now I have my cup for my pearl. I need a hole, and rather than try to hold that with my fingers and drill it, what I'm going to do is use my punch, and when you have your punch in the middle, it will hold itself level, like that. Now, you can see this spot on the back. That is so thin that as soon as you touch that with your drill bit, it'll just go straight through. Little word of warning. When you have your bench block like this and you use the punch against it, it will leave a mark. So I have two blocks. I have one that's perfectly smooth that I never use anything hard against it. So if I have a little bit of hammering or something to do and I want a smooth surface on the back, I use that one. And for punching, I use the one that's got all the marks in it. And saying that, I do go from time to time, I file it back and sand it, but still, it serves its purpose. So now we're going to drill this, and it's you can see I didn't even hold it, I just barely touched it with the drill bit and it went through. I would hold this with the probably chain nose pliers just to make sure it doesn't spin. Saves your fingers. I'm just going to file a little bump off the back so that it'll sit down flat against my wire. And now I'm going to solder the cup and the 0.8 square wire onto the end of my 3mm round wire. So I've slid my pearl cup over my square wire, and I'm going to position that. Summer storm, isn't it great? I love it. So we're just going to put that there, let the cup slide down. Now I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to solder the wire in first. So I'll just move the cup up above my third hand. Get that all in position. And a little bit of flux, so stir up your flux. The reason I'm doing it this way is I want to make sure that that's soldered before I slide the cup down and then solder it again. Because in the past I have had these come apart because I didn't do a good enough solder job there. So I'm just going to use hard solder, and I'm going to pick solder this one because it's easier than trying to rest the solder on that. So fire up your torch, and because I'm pick soldering, I can just dry that out. Heat your solder pick up your solder. Now, concentrate the heat on the large wire because it's 4 times the size of your small wire. I'll just position that. Our little ball of solder is there, and when it flowed, it just flashed. So that's good. Now, I'll just let this drop down because that's soldered and fluxed. I don't have to do anything other than let that drop down, flux the top, drop a little piece of solder in there, and flow the solder again. So I flux the cup, drop a little piece of solder down into there, flux the solder. Now I'm going to heat the big wire again, and when everything comes up to soldering temperature, I'll just watch my solder here on top. When it flows, I will know that the whole thing is soldered together. There, my flux is clear. I just shifted the solder over so it was touching the wire. And there it flowed. So now we're ready. We'll quench it and pickle it. So clip your wire off. That's about 10 mil high. Grab it with your parallel jaw pliers. Give it a good twist. Don't be shy, because if it's a good solder joint, it'll hold. If it's not a good solder joint, you need to redo it anyway. So there you go. Now I'm going to clip it a little bit shorter. I'm just going to wrap this around my bracelet mandrel, starting up high, because I want to be able to hammer it and as it goes down to the size, and I have my size marked on my mandrel, it'll get nice and round and it'll work harden it a little bit. And because this isn't going to be soldered together, it's going to be an open connection. We want it work hardened. So use the rawhide hammer. Don't hit your pearl or your pearl setting. If you want to bend that end down, what you could do is take a little piece of wood, like a dowel, and you could hold it over it and hit it. The wood shouldn't leave a mark, and it should form it the way you want. So that's my size, and you can play with the end. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of a curve in the end of this, cut it to length, and tidy it up. This is what I decided to do with this one. I just wrapped it around, cut the end off so that it was even with the other piece of wire, and now I'm just going to put my pearl on top. Two-part epoxy. So as usual, check the fit of the pearl before you mix your glue. You only have 5 minutes with this. So once again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the peg. Touch that, run it down inside. Slip the pearl on, push it down, and leave it alone for 5 minutes. So that's my newest creation, just for fun. Something a little bit different. Ciao.